Hello, this is Wes from the Hip Bee, and it is the middle of February, and the bees are doing good. They're all the hives are doing well. I noticed that they kicked out some of the dead on some of their hives, and I've been feeding them this winter some fondant, so they're doing well. So far, so good. I also want to say thank you for watching, and you can follow me on Facebook, on thehipbee.com, and on YouTube, depending on where you're watching this, on the Hip Bee on YouTube. And I want to say thank you to everybody who entered the contest for the $50 gift certificate giveaway. It was a lot of fun. Congratulations to Molly. Her gift has been sent out to her. She's going to share that with her mother, I hear, and they really like the lip balm flavors. We have another giveaway coming next week, so stick around. It's going to be a good one. And I also want to let you know where we're going to be. February 22nd at the Strolling at the Heifers in Brattleboro, Vermont. 22nd and 23rd, that's next weekend, at a great location. March 2nd at the Plymouth High School. You can check all these locations on our Facebook page for the events. On March 16th at the American Legion in Middleton for the St. Patrick's Day. And then on March 17th, on St. Patrick's Day, the next day, another St. Patrick's Day at the American Legion in Plymouth. So one in Middleton, one in Plymouth, and then on March 24th at the Lowell Elks for the Psychic Fair. That should be interesting. That should be a really good event. You don't want to miss that. A lot of great spiritual stuff. And if you're a hippie like me, that should be some fun. But today I want to talk about decrystallizing honey. Crystallized honey, when your honey crystal, this is about that time of year in the middle of winter, the end of winter, where your honey may start to crystallize what you've taken from the fall. Fall honey generally crystallizes a little quicker than spring honey. I've had spring honey that I've got here in New England. We're in Massachusetts, just north of Boston, and this area, my spring honey, I haven't had it crystallized yet. I've had it for, some of it I've had for 5 years, and it's never crystallized. So all honey is different, but generally fall honey is a darker honey, richer tasting honey, and darker honeys are generally sought after more for their flavors. All honey is different. It can vary from location to season. But this is the time of year where some of the honeys may start to crystallize due to the colder temperatures and when you took it out of the hive. And when you have honey that's crystallized, it may look like this. It may have this start to crystallize. You can see where it's still liquid up here, but all that is crystallized honey. And now, some people like crystallized honey because it doesn't drip. You can scoop it with a spoon, you can spread it on toast, and it's easier to use because it doesn't drip, and you don't need a dipper to get it where you want it. But some people like liquid honey, and that's fine too, because when honey crystallizes, it's still good honey. As a matter of fact, you know it's real good honey when it does crystallize. That doesn't mean your honey isn't good if it doesn't. It just means that it is raw. If some honeys that you buy in the grocery store, they will cut with high fructose corn syrup or heat it to a certain temperature over 180 degrees where it will not crystallize. It'll break that cycle, and kind of like, and it gives a different flavor to the honey as well. And it kills the enzymes when you heat it too much. And that's why supermarket honey you won't see crystallized, because it's not raw and not good. Well, I don't want to say it's not good, but you lose all the enzymes and the flavors when you overheat it. So I'm going to tell you how to, if you don't want crystallized honey and your honey starts to crystallize, what you can do to get the honey back to liquid. Because you can. It loses nothing. It's good honey, and it will last indefinitely as long as you keep it sealed from the air. Always keep your honey in a sealed container. Don't leave it open to the air, because it will draw moisture in, and then the acidity level goes down, and then you start to get it could go bad, ferment, bacteria, because you want to keep it sealed. So this is what you do. If you have honey like this that starts to crystallize and you want it liquid because that's what you prefer, what you do is you take a pan like this one, just a regular pan, and you fill it up about to here, halfway up, with water. And bring that water to hot, not quite a boil, or you can bring it to a boil and then let it sit for a few minutes, and then take your honey, the whole jar, and just put it in there. Turn the oven, turn your stove off, bring it to a boil, turn it off, let it cool for about a couple of minutes, and then put your honey right in and let it sit in the hot water. That will melt the honey back to liquid. Depending on how solid you let your honey get, because once you start to see it crystallize, you should do this if you want it liquid. Once you start to see the crystallization beginning, put your honey in hot water, and you don't want to bring the honey over a temperature of 120 degrees, because then you'll start killing off the enzymes that are in the honey that make it raw. And this is important. So what I found is I used a temperature gauge, and if I brought this is a 2-pound jar, and if I brought this pan to a boil and I have a 2-pound jar, I can put this honey in the 2-pound jar in the water after I turn the heat off, and the temperature of the honey itself will not get above 120 degrees before it crystallizes, or before the water gets cool enough. And you can use one of those thermometers. You can stick a candy thermometer in it just to make sure it stays right around 120 degrees. And if it doesn't, now it'll be quicker if you do it early. If you wait until it gets solid, then you may have to reheat the water and do it again. And it may take a couple of hours, but eventually, if you warm it slowly over a long period of time, you will get regular honey just like this. Again, that is liquid, just the way you bought it. And that's how it's done. Now, if you have a small plastic squeeze bear, you're best not getting the water too hot, because you may deform the squeeze bear if it's crystallized in a plastic squeeze bear. So just get the water hot but not boiling, and then put your bear in and just leave it there until it's liquid again. And it'll stay liquid again for a long time, until maybe a month or so, or longer, depending on the honey. And if it crystallizes again, you just do it again. Now, if you end up heating the honey too hot and you get it up till over 200 degrees, you will kill the enzymes, but you may also break the crystallization, and it won't crystallize again. And some people do that if they're not concerned about having raw honey. But as long as you keep it under 120 degrees, it's still raw honey, because inside the hive can get up to 120 degrees inside. So technically, raw honey is honey that never rises to a temperature higher than it would in the hive, which is 120 degrees. So as long as you keep it under that, it's still raw honey, and the enzymes are good. Okay? And that's how you decrystallize honey. If you have any questions, just put them in the description of the comment section, and I'll answer them. And thank you for watching, and you have a great day.